Hi, Joe here,
And Lexi.
and we're going to be going through partner acrobatics in this next segment. In partner acrobatics, you're going to have two people, one being the base and one being
the flyer.
the flyer. Typically, the base is going to be a little bit heavier than the flyer because in the basing, you're going to have the flyer standing on top of you, doing various positions and moves.
With that said, you can do same size. So if you have two people who are about the same size, both of them can fly and base each other. With that said, however, that requires a little bit more focus on technique and strength.
So, let's begin. Heel raises. Heel raises are very important for both the base and the flyer. It helps strengthen the lower part of the leg. You want to make sure that you're maintaining good balance by keeping your butt squeezed and your ribs in. Notice the position of the heels together. This is going to help ensure that when the flyer gets ready to stand on top of the base and too high, that their heels and their feet are in the right positions. Doing this exercise slowly will ensure that you have the right balance and strength to do these positions correctly. The high bird position. This is an exercise for the flyer. You can use blocks or yoga blocks to prop up on to make the exercise more difficult. You can also do this without using blocks. Try to keep your torso elevated high and your eyes up and forward. Keep your legs straight, locked, and your toes pointed. You can move your arms and your feet around for increased difficulty. The plank. Doing this position correctly will help strengthen everything from the flyer to the base. You don't want to lift your hips up too high. You want them to be even with your shoulders so that a straight line can be created from your shoulders to your heels. You can also elevate to your wrist, but don't go back too far. Notice that the ribs are in, the core is squeezed tight. The hollow body. This position will help strengthen the abdominals, helping you learn to sew your ribs. You want to make sure that your lower back is pushed down into the floor, not allowing the lower back to lift up. Extend the legs one at a time for increased difficulty. When you're teaching this, you can go around to the students and slide your foot or your hand underneath their lower back to make sure that there's no space. If there's space, modify the exercise to make it easier. Keep your chin positioned about a fist away from your torso. For the greatest difficulty, you can bring the hands over the head and rock. A basic horse stance or wide squat. Keep your torso and your chest and your chin up. Squat down to the point where your legs are parallel to the floor. You want to feel strong and sturdy. If you place your hands on your knees with your arms extended, it'll help position you correctly. Rock your torso back and forth to get a feel of your correct balance. Double crab, one of the most basic partner acro positions. The flyer steps over the base, places the hands on the shoulders softly. The base lifts the hips up, and the flyer steps up gently 1 foot at a time on the knees. Hold the position tight, keeping the hips up. Step down the same way you came up. You can also do this reversed. Same principles apply, only the hands are now on the knees and the feet are on the shoulders. JEDI box. The base lays down and the flyer places their hands on the shins or the ankles of the base, and vice versa. Attempt to sit up, extending the arms directly over the head. You must be able to move slowly together. Make sure to communicate before executing this move. L-basing the bird position. Start by placing the feet somewhere in the middle of the hips of the flyer. Take hands, bend the legs of the base. The flyer should lean in with their body straight. If the flyer bends their body in any kind of way, this is very difficult. Notice the flyer keeping their chest high and their legs straight and their body strong. To come down, simply grab hands again, lower the legs, and place the flyer down gently. You can try this variation with no hands, once you've mastered the position with hands. Always remember to communicate before attempting these moves. Candlestick. The base lays down with the knees propped up and the feet roughly shoulder-width apart. The flyer will step over the knees, placing the hands on the thighs, while the base places the hands on the shoulders of the flyer. Step up on the knees of the base gently, and then slowly lift the feet off the legs into a tuck, and when you feel comfortable, go into a straight position. Keeping the feet open will help the flyer gain better balance. Use a spotter if doing this for the first time. Another variation is not stepping up on the knees. The same positions apply in the beginning, only this time the flyer jumps from the ground. A more advanced version is when the flyer can let go of the legs. Only attempt this with the spotter until you feel comfortable. Fishbowl. Make sure as a base that your elbows are in by your torso and that your biceps are being held strong. The flyer steps straight up onto the base's thighs and only extends the arms until you feel balance. Hold this position until you feel comfortable. A variation is when the flyer turns their feet sideways where one foot is on both thighs, just above the knees. The other leg wraps around behind the neck. The base will reach with their hand, securing the foot to make the base feel comfortable. The stronger you get, the flyer can extend their body out. Regrip, step down gently. Titanic, like the reverse of fishbowl. Grab the flyer by the hips. The flyer will step up on the thighs. Slowly lower your hands down to the thighs of the flyer as the base and extend back. Make sure to hold strong body positions. Come down as gentle as you came up. You can also try jumping up into Titanic. Grab the base's hands and leap. Base slides the hands down. And of course, always try to attempt to come down as gentle as you came up. Totem or half high. Assume that basic horse stance position, giving the flyer your hand grip, interlocking your thumbs. The flyer steps up into the crease where the torso meets the legs. The shin should be leaned against the back of the base. Practice stepping up and down multiple times until you feel comfortable. You don't want to pull your base backwards. That's the most important part. Notice that the base is leaning forward slightly. Too high. Assume a grip like a handshake, just like in Totem. You're going to step up on the hip first, then up onto the shoulder. Stand up together. Make sure that you secure your grip on the high part of the flyer's calves. Reassume a grip. Lower down. Step down as gentle as you came up. Again from the side. It's one step and then another one to the shoulder. You don't want to pull your base back. That's the most important part. So you don't pull back. You always step up onto your base. The base is pulling the flyer down and into the back of their head. If you don't feel a connection between the shins and the head, you're doing this wrong. Attempt to feel the back of your head against the shins of your flyer. The flyer's heels should be together.
That's just some basic stuff that you can do in a beginning acro class. There's obviously a bunch more different things that you can do, but this is a really great starting point.
It's true. So make sure that all times when you're working with kids that you're being safe at the spotter, that if you're the teacher in the room, that you're there with them until you feel that they have it securely. Moving slow is always best with acro because any little mistake can cause a collapse and next cause injury. So be very careful when you practice partner acrobatics.